Life starts somewhere for all of us. For Will Smith, that somewhere was West Philadelphia. Not the glitz, not the glamour, just Philly. A place with its own rhythm, its own heartbeat. He grew up in a neighborhood called Winfield. It was a regular place with regular folks trying to make it. But even in the regular, you find the seeds of the extraordinary. You see, where you come from shapes you. It gives you your first lessons. Will's first classroom was the streets and the home he grew up in. It was a place of contrasts, a place that would mold him in ways he wouldn't understand until much later. His mama, Caroline Bright, she was something special. She believed in education. She worked for the school board. Imagine that. She was out here making sure kids got their learning. That's a powerful woman. She brought a sense of order, a sense of possibility through knowledge. She wanted her children to see beyond the block, to know there was a whole world out there waiting. She was the steady hand, the guiding voice, the one who probably told him to always do his best, to aim high. That kind of influence, it sticks with you. It becomes a part of your inner compass. Then there was his daddy, Willard Carroll Smith Sr. Folks called him Daddy-O. He was a different kind of energy altogether. He was a refrigerator engineer. He owned his own business. That man was a disciplinarian. He believed in hard work. He showed Will what it meant to provide, to be strong. But there was a toughness there too, a side that could be harsh. He ran a tight ship, Daddy-O did. He installed refrigeration units, but he also installed a certain kind of fear, a certain kind of drive in young Will. He taught him about resilience, about getting things done, no matter what. So you had these two forces in one house. Caroline, the gentle, educated soul, Daddy-O, the firm, street-smart provider. Talk about a mix. It was like fire and water sometimes, I bet. But that's life, ain't it? It's rarely simple. Will was caught in the middle of these strong personalities. He learned to navigate. He learned to observe. He saw love, he saw struggle, he saw strength in different forms. This push and pull, this blend of softness and hardness, it was all cooking up the man he was going to become. These were the ingredients of the future Fresh Prince. Growing up, sometimes you need a shield. Sometimes you need a way to make sense of the world. For young Will, that shield was humor. He learned early on that being funny could get him through things. It could diffuse tension. It could make people like him. It was a survival skill, really. If you can make someone laugh, you can connect with them. You can make a tough situation a little bit lighter. He had this charm, this quick wit. It was natural. It was his way of navigating the complexities of his home life, the streets of Philly. That smile, that laugh, it was a superpower he was just starting to understand. Then came a meeting that would change everything. Destiny has a funny way of showing up. One day, Will crossed paths with Jeffrey Towns. We all know him as DJ Jazzy Jeff. It was at a house party, the kind of place where magic can happen. Jeff needed a hype man, a rapper. Will was there. They just clicked. It was like finding a missing piece of a puzzle. Two young guys from Philly, both with a love for music. Jeff had the skills on the turntables, that smooth, innovative sound. Will had the words, the charisma, the storytelling ability. It was an instant connection. A brotherhood formed over beats and rhymes. They started making music together almost immediately. It wasn't just a hobby, it was a passion. They were creating something new, something fresh. DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. That's who they became. They spent hours in Jeff's basement honing their craft. They were young, hungry, and full of dreams. They were taking the sounds of their neighborhood, the stories of their lives, and turning them into songs. It was exciting, it was real. They were building something from the ground up, with nothing but their talent and their belief in each other. That's how the best partnerships start, with that shared fire. Their energy was infectious. You couldn't help but move when you heard their music. Will's rhymes were clean, funny, relatable. Jeff's beats were creative, musical, always on point. They weren't trying to be hardcore. They were just being themselves. They were telling stories about everyday life, about being teenagers, about parents not understanding. And people loved it. It was a different flavor in the hip-hop world at the time. It was fun. It was light-hearted, but it was also skillful. They were serious about their music, even if they made you smile while listening to it. This duo was about to make some noise. And make noise they did. Their song Parents Just Don't Understand became a huge hit. Everybody was singing it. It was all over the radio, all over MTV. It was an anthem for kids everywhere. It was clever. It was funny. It captured that feeling of being young and misunderstood. Suddenly, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince were stars. They were touring. They were famous. It was a whirlwind. From the basements of Philly to the national stage. That's a big leap. And it happened fast. They were living the dream, or so it seemed. They were on top of the world, young and full of energy. Then came the Grammys. 1989. History was made. They won the first ever Grammy Award for Best Rap Performance. Can you imagine? The very first one. That's legendary. It was a huge moment for them, and for hip-hop. It showed that rap music was being recognized, that it had a place at the table. It was validation. It was a sign that they were doing something right. But with big success comes big responsibility. And sometimes when you're young, you're not quite ready for all of it. The lights are bright, and it's easy to get blinded. The money started rolling in, big money. And when you're young and you suddenly have a lot of it, it's easy to lose your head. Will has been open about this part of his life. He spent it as fast as it came. Cars, clothes, living large. He wasn't thinking about taxes. He wasn't thinking about the future. He was living in the moment. But the tax man, he always comes knocking. And when he did, Will was in trouble. Deep trouble. Millions in debt to the IRS. The party came to a screeching halt. It was a hard lesson to learn. All of a sudden, the fame, the money, it felt like it was slipping away. He was broke. He was scared. He felt like a failure. From Grammy winner to nearly bankrupt. That's a tough pill to swallow. It was a low point, a real wake-up call. But sometimes, you gotta hit rock bottom to find your way back up. These are the moments that test you. These are the moments that build character. He had the talent. He had the charm. But he needed a second chance. He needed to learn from his mistakes. And that next chapter was just around the corner. Just when things looked bleak, an opportunity knocked. A lifeline. Benny Medina, a music executive, had an idea. He saw something in Will. He thought Will's story, his personality, could translate to television. He pitched a show about a kid from Philly who moves in with his wealthy relatives in Bel-Air. Sound familiar? Quincy Jones got involved. And just like that, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was born. Will, with no real acting experience, was hesitant. But what did he have to lose? The IRS was breathing down his neck. This was his shot, a chance to start over. The show was an instant hit. People loved it. Will's natural charisma, his comedic timing, it just popped on screen. He was playing a version of himself, and it felt authentic. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wasn't just a sitcom, it became a cultural phenomenon. It tackled issues of race, class, family, all with humor and heart. It launched Will into a new stratosphere of fame. He was no longer just a rapper, he was a television star. He was in people's living rooms every week. He was America's nephew, charming his way into everyone's hearts. There was one episode, though, that showed a different side of Will, a deeper side. The episode called Papa's Got a Brand New Excuse. His character's father, Lou, comes back into his life only to leave him again. That final scene, where Will breaks down, asking Uncle Phil, "How come he don't want me, man?" That wasn't just acting, that was real. That was Will channeling his own pain, his own complicated feelings about his own father. James Avery, who played Uncle Phil, held him in that moment. It was powerful, it was raw, it was unforgettable. That scene resonated with so many people, because it was true. It blurred the lines between fiction and reality. Will has spoken about how much of his own life, his own emotions, he poured into that role, especially that scene. He ad-libbed much of it. The tears were real. It was a cathartic moment for him and a revelation for the audience. It showed the depth he had as an actor, the vulnerability beneath the charming exterior. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air gave him his start, but that episode showed the world there was so much more to Will Smith than just jokes and a catchy theme song. Section 5. Hollywood calling, chasing perfection, finding Jada. After the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wrapped, Hollywood came calling, loudly. Will wasn't just a TV star anymore. He had his sights set on being a movie star, a global superstar, and he went for it with everything he had. Movies like Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence showed his action comedy chops. Then came Independence Day. That movie was huge. It made him a bona fide box office king. He was charismatic, he was bankable. He was on his way to becoming one of the biggest movie stars in the world. He had the Midas touch. Everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. But with that drive came an intense pressure, an addiction to perfection, as he later called it. He didn't just want to be successful, he wanted to be the biggest, the best, number one. He studied the box office. He analyzed what made movies hits. He was strategic. He was relentless. This pursuit of perfection consumed him. He felt like he couldn't fail. He had to keep winning. He had to keep climbing. That kind of pressure, it takes a toll. It can make you lose sight of other things. It can make you hard on yourself, and maybe hard on the people around you. During his time on Fresh Prince, a young actress named Jada Pinkett auditioned for the role of his girlfriend. She didn't get the part. They said she was too short, but they met. There was a spark, a connection. It wasn't romantic at first. They became friends, but there was something there. Jada was a force in her own right, strong, independent, talented. She had her own dreams, her own ambitions. She wasn't just going to be somebody's girlfriend or wife. She was Jada, and she saw Will, really saw him, beyond the fame, beyond the persona. Their friendship grew into something more. Jada became a significant presence in his life. She challenged him. She understood him in a way others didn't. She wasn't afraid to tell him the truth. This wasn't just another Hollywood romance. This felt different. She wasn't just swept away by the Fresh Prince charm or the movie star status. She saw the man underneath, and he saw her. This partnership was going to be a defining one for Will. It was going to bring incredible joy and also incredible challenges. It was a love story that was just beginning, one that would play out in the public eye for decades to come. Section 6. Love, Life and Public Eyes. The Pressure Cooker. Will and Jada got married. They started a family, Jaden, Willow. They became one of Hollywood's most visible, most talked about power couples. On the outside, it looked like a fairy tale. Two beautiful, successful people building a life, an empire together. They were relationship goals for so many. They seemed to have it all. The careers, the family, the love. But we all know that what you see on the surface isn't always the whole story. Life, especially life lived under a microscope, is complicated. It's messy, it's real. And their life was very, very public. That public eye, it's a heavy weight to carry. Every move, every word, every red carpet appearance is scrutinized, judged, dissected. Imagine trying to navigate the ups and downs of a marriage, of raising kids, with the whole world watching. It adds a layer of pressure that most of us can't even imagine. They tried to be unconventional. They tried to redefine what partnership meant for them. They talked about freedom, about individuality within their union. But that often just led to more speculation, more rumors. The world wanted them to fit into a neat little box, and they resisted. Then came the Entanglement, that now famous Red Table Talk episode where Jada, with Will sitting right there, talked about her relationship with August Alsina during a period when she and Will were separated. The word entanglement became a meme, a joke. But behind the headlines, behind the social media frenzy, was a real couple dealing with real pain, real complexities in their marriage. It was a moment of shocking vulnerability. They chose to share their truth, their messiness with the world. It was brave, it was raw, and it showed that even power couples face deep struggles. That conversation, it pulled back the curtain. It showed that picture-perfect lives are an illusion. Marriage is hard work. Long-term relationships go through seasons. There are highs, and there are profound lows. What they showed was a commitment to figuring it out, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's public. It was a stark reminder that fame and fortune don't insulate you from heartbreak or human frailty. If anything, it amplifies it. Their journey, laid bare, was a testament to the enduring and often painful effort required to keep a partnership alive and evolving. Section 7. The Night the World Watched. A Crack in the Armor. The 94th Academy Awards. March 27, 2022. It was supposed to be Will's night. He was nominated for Best Actor for his role in King Richard, playing Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena. The culmination of decades of work. The ultimate recognition from his peers. The anticipation was high. He was the front-runner. Many believed this was finally his moment to take home that golden statue. He was there with Jada, looking dapper, smiling for the cameras. The energy in the Dolby Theatre was electric, as it always is on Oscar night. Then it happened. Chris Rock was on stage presenting. He made a joke about Jada's shaved head, a result of her alopecia. The camera cut to Jada, clearly unamused. And then Will Smith, the beloved Fresh Prince, the global movie star, walked onto the stage and slapped Chris Rock across the face. The sound echoed. The world gasped. Was it a bit? Was it real? The confusion was palpable. Will walked back to his seat and shouted, "Keep my wife's name out your expletive mouth," twice. The shock in the room, and for everyone watching at home, was immense. In that single, impulsive moment, everything changed. The night that was meant to be his triumph became a spectacle of a different kind. Later in the evening, Will won the Oscar for Best Actor. His acceptance speech was emotional, tearful, and somewhat rambling. He spoke about protecting his family. He apologized to the Academy and his fellow nominees, but not to Chris Rock at that time. The joy of his career-defining win was completely overshadowed by the earlier incident. The crack in the carefully constructed armor of Will Smith had been exposed for the whole world to see. The aftermath was swift and severe. Condemnation poured in from all corners. The Academy launched an investigation. Will resigned from the Academy before they could expel him. He was banned from attending the Oscars and other Academy events for 10 years. He issued public apologies, first on Instagram, then in a video. He spoke of his actions being shocking, painful, and inexcusable. The incident sparked endless debates about violence, comedy, a husband's duty, and the pressures of fame. The man who had built an image of positivity and control had shown a side of himself that no one expected. Section 8. Will Unfiltered Truths and Turning Inward. Even before that infamous Oscar night, Will had been on a journey of deep self-exploration. He released his memoir, Will, in November 2021. This wasn't just another celebrity tell-all. This was a man trying to understand himself, trying to unpack a lifetime of experiences, good and bad. He worked on it with Mark Manson, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F***CK. That pairing alone told you this book was going to be different. It was going to be raw. It was going to be honest. And it was. In the book, Will laid himself bare. He talked about his childhood, the trauma of witnessing his father abuse his mother. He confessed his own deep-seated fears of conflict, of not being good enough. He detailed his relentless pursuit of success, that addiction to perfection, and how it impacted his relationships, his family, his own mental health. He didn't shy away from his mistakes, his failures. He wrote about the complexities of his marriage to Jada. It was a vulnerable, courageous act of self-revelation. He was trying to dismantle the myth of Will Smith, the superstar, and show the human being underneath. The Oscars incident, in a way, became a public manifestation of the inner turmoil he'd been writing about. It forced him into an even deeper period of introspection. He largely disappeared from public view for a while. He went on a journey, both literally and figuratively, seeking healing, seeking understanding. He apologized to Chris Rock. He apologized to his fans, his colleagues. He acknowledged the pain he had caused. He talked about doing the work, going to therapy, trying to understand the rage that had erupted so unexpectedly. It was a humbling experience for a man who had always seemed so in control. This period of turning inward, of facing his demons, was crucial. It's easy to be on top of the world when everything is going your way, but true character, true growth, often comes from navigating the valleys, the dark places. Will, the book, was a map of his past. The Oscars incident was a painful detour, but both became part of his ongoing journey toward healing and a more profound understanding of himself. He was learning that being a work in progress is okay, that being flawed is human, and that honesty with oneself and with others is the first step toward true strength. Section 9. Perfectly Imperfect: Embracing Our Human Story. What Will Smith's journey, especially these recent chapters, teaches us is something profound. We don't really need perfect idols. We don't need flawless heroes, because they don't exist. What we crave, what we connect with, is honesty. We connect with humanity. We connect with people who are willing to show their scars, their struggles, their imperfections. When someone who seems to have it all admits they're flawed, it gives us all permission to be flawed too. It makes us feel less alone in our own battles. That's a powerful gift. His story, from West Philly to global icon, then to a moment of public shame, and now on a path to redemption, is a human story. It's filled with incredible highs and devastating lows. It's about ambition, love, family, pressure, mistakes, and the quest for understanding. It mirrors our own lives in a way. Maybe not on such a grand scale, but the themes are universal. We all strive for something. We all make mistakes. We all have moments we regret. We all have the capacity for great love and great pain. We are all trying to figure it out. The importance of vulnerability cannot be overstated. When Will shared his truths in his book, when he owned his actions after the Oscars, he was being vulnerable. And vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. It's the willingness to be seen, truly seen, with all our imperfections. It's what fosters connection. It's what allows for healing. When we hide our struggles, we suffer in silence. When we share them, we find community. We find understanding. We find that we are more alike than we are different. That's the beauty of our shared human experience. Ultimately, the path to redemption, for Will Smith and for all of us, is paved with honesty. Honesty with ourselves first and foremost, and then honesty with others. It's about taking responsibility. It's about learning the lessons. It's about trying to do better, to be better. We don't need our public figures to be saints. We need them to be human. Because their stories, even the messy parts, can inspire us to embrace our own perfectly imperfect human stories. To be kind to ourselves and to each other as we all navigate this journey called life. We are all, always, a work in progress.